Welcome to Millionaire Insiders. I'm Jaime Tardy and I have Josh Dorkin back on the show from biggerpockets.com. Today, we're going to be talking about content. He creates a lot of content and has tons of writers that actually create content for his community too. And I want to find out what his steps are and what works and what doesn't work. Thanks so much for being on today, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what your structure is, because you actually have more than just you and Brandon actually writing content. So how many people do you have writing for you?
So we've got myself and Brandon Turner, who's my lead editor, and he also writes. And then we've got, I think, a little bit over 30 contributors writing for.
That's really impressive. So you know your content, especially specifically for your market. So what sort of steps do you go through to try and find out what's going to work with your audience?
Sure. Well, so our site is about real estate investing, and we've experimented over the years. You know, we said, hey, let's stick really close and narrow to everything about real estate investing. Let's talk about real estate in general. Let's kind of talk about the consumery stuff, and we found that we had to focus. We wanted to be the top site, the absolute top destination for information for investors, and the way to do that was by focusing. So. Within real estate investing, there's a lot of different niches. There's flipping houses, there's being a landlord, there's mortgages, tax and those liens. I could talk about things that your users heads would spin, mobile homes, you name it. And so we wanted full coverage across the spectrum. So what we did was we found folks who are experts in those different fields, and we brought them all together into one place, our site, and we started to have them produce content.
Now, do you pay them, or is it just for the access? And
so we don't pay them, and the reason that we've managed to get away with that is because we give them a lot of value above and beyond the access. So not only are they writing on a platform that's got a big brand, in the community, in the space, but we do a bunch of linking to them. Our newsletter, that's 82,000. It goes to 82,000 today. We highlight other posts, their faces, so they get to build a personal brand in the space, which in turn helps their business. We also, we deal with the press a lot. So the press will call us and say, hey, we're looking for somebody who flips houses, who can talk intelligibly on this topic. Nice. And the first place I go is to my writers. So we've gotten folks full page, multi-page spreads and Kiplingers. We've gotten them TV. We've gotten radio. We've gotten folks all over the place. And as a big thank you for contributing.
So it's a win-win for everybody, which works out well.
It is. And they do, the nice thing is the reputation component is actually one of the biggest. I mean, these guys who will come and write for us, they establish credibility by showing their expertise. And then what happens as a real estate investor, other folks say, oh, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. I want to partner with him. I want to work with that guy. So they get deals, they get business, things like that. It's wild.
So how do you know what works really well for content and what doesn't? I mean, you've been in this for 9 years, so you've been doing this way before, content marketing was cool. So give us some really actionable tips that you can that someone can take away and go and use in their specific niche in their market.
Okay, so I will tell you really quickly that when I first started blogging, neither I nor anyone else knew what blogging was, and nobody knew how to blog. So I would literally go through and write, oh, here's a great new article from the New York Times. And then I'd quote a paragraph or two and then link to the article, and that was my blog post. I mean, it was nothing. And so we've gone through a lot of changes over the years. But in terms of knowing what people like or what they don't like, it's hard when you're first starting and you don't have an audience, because getting feedback is really valuable. Comments is really a good judge. Comments and quality of comments and what they're talking about is a good judgment of the content that you're producing. Are people, are people just blasé about it, or are they passionate about what you're writing? I think once you start to see that, you can kind of sculpt your content around that. What we like to do is we've got a couple of different types of content that we produce. We'll produce some evergreen content, which is how-tos, guides, things like that. Real basic stuff. we don't like to write 300-word posts. Our average post today is 750 plus. And, we really try to strive for even bigger and better than that. We will look at what's missing. If I want to find out about a topic, so we'll look at what our community, our forums are talking about.
That helps.
We'll then we'll Google it. We'll see what the results are, and we'll say, oh, there's no really good information about A, B, and C. And then we'll go and we'll write it. We'll write, this is the ultimate guide to A, B, C. For example, we wrote the ultimate guide to real estate investing, and it's an bless you.
Mute. Sorry.
it's an 8-chapter mini book, but it's online. That will pretty much give you all the knowledge you need to know to get started in real estate investing. We've written the ultimate guide to screening tenants, the ultimate guide to renting your house out. And these guides are, 6, 10, 15,000, maybe even more words. I mean, pretty serious pieces of content that most internet marketers, most folks are going to probably sell. We're giving it away.
Now, do you break that up and do a bunch of different things when you actually put it live?
So the ultimate beginner's guide was 8 chapters. It was literally, we spent a lot of time on graphic design. So it's not just a single really long post. It's chapter 1, chapter 2, you click, you go to the next chapter. And,
wow. So not really blog post format even.
So that's not really a blog post format, but the other stuff, we just produced a really good guide, the ultimate agent's guide for working with real estate investors.
Nice.
So are you a real estate agent and you want to learn how to work with this, immense community of investors? These are the things you need to know. This is how we think. This is how you think. Let's kind of put the minds together and collaborate so you guys everyone can benefit.
How do you format something like that, especially if it's so dense and has so many pieces? Like, how do you do the research? How do you figure out what people want and make it you were a teacher before, thankfully, so I'm sure that probably helps when you're trying to come up with this, but how do you format that? I'm
really, really smart. No, I'm just kidding.
Good. Done. Interview done.
Yes. No, it's what we'll do is we'll do an outline at first. So we'll say, hey, we want to write this guide. So we're going to outline what are the key pieces of information. The nice thing is everything that we write about, we've got some experience with. So we're not going to write the ultimate guide to financing a $1 billion real estate project because we haven't done that. So, we could do some academic pieces, but we're not going to really ever do an ultimate guide unless we've got that experience and the capacity to do it. So, a lot of it comes from firsthand knowledge from the community, things like that. But we'll outline it, go through it, talk to a lot of our community and say, hey, if we're going to do this, what's missing? What do we need to include? What should we maybe take away? And then we put it out.
So have you ever put something out and thought it was going to do amazingly well and it flopped, or something you thought was going to do okay and then went like crazy?
The ultimate guide for agents working with real estate investors.
Not so good or good?
It is a phenomenal piece of content. It is absolutely amazing. And it is languishing. It should really be doing better. It's in the interest of real estate brokerages around the country to take this, read it, and share it because their folks are going to do more business as a result of reading this. But we found that the tide has kind of been a little bit against us. It's interesting because we're in the space. We're kind of like the ugly stepchild. Real estate investing is the ugly stepchild to the real estate space, and so we kind of have Rodney Dangerfield syndrome. We don't get no respect. And so if you're writing content, a lot of the mainstream industry, the mainstream real estate industry, which is really good at sharing and really good at kind of self-promotion, they're not great at.
They don't want to look at you.
Yeah, they're exactly. Hold on there. So So yeah, that's been a challenge, but we've started to break down some of the barriers, and the as time goes along, people know us, respect us. I mean, we're very well respected in the industry, and despite that, we still have a challenge having our content really spread, even when it's absolutely fantastic. And then the other issue is real estate investors tend to not be the kinds of folks who share a lot of stuff. They're not big Facebook sharers or Twitter sharers as in general.
Yep.
And so, internet marketing, I mean, you put something out, that thing's been shared a billion times. If somebody shares if a real estate investing piece of content is shared 50, 100 times, that's doing really well. I mean, we may get 100, 200 comments, because the people who are reading it are really into it, but we're not going to get it shared as often as somebody else might.
Okay. How do you promote your content then? So let's say you have something that's really, really good, and I know your industry is a little bit different, maybe not with this specific piece of content, but how do you actually get it out there even bigger? Or do you just sort of write for your people and then we slowly have word of mouth people come in because of that?
So, that's a big challenge, right? The Derek Halpern model is, spend 20% on content, 80% on promotion.
Yep.
And we've never really been the 80% on promotion guys because we produce a lot of content. So it is hard to do that. What we really do is, I mean, we focus mostly on promoting internally. We know if we write really good content, people are going to find it. We know that Google will index it.
You're more the Pat Flynn. I mean, and Pat, so we were hanging out with Pat. So I was out to dinner with Derek and Pat, and Derek was talking about his 80-20 rule and how he does and Pat talked about how he's the opposite. He does 80% content, 20% promotion, which is kind of what you're saying you guys do too.
I think we're probably somewhere in between. So we'll produce content, we'll put it out, we'll share it in our community, not just on our forums. We put it out in our newsletter, so that's getting out to those tens of thousands of people. And if it's really phenomenal, we'll find a way to kind of work it into our podcast as well, which is now getting 15,000 listens per show. So it's, how do we get it out there? Well, let's do that. Then, of course, we've got the Twitter, the Facebook. If it's phenomenal and focused, say on the financial blogger space, maybe we'll hit those guys up and say, hey guys, check this out. If it's something great for agents, I mean, I've outreached to the big companies and said, hey guys, share this. And
tell me about one of those, because a lot of people have heard that before but don't know exactly how to do it. So if you walk me through like one way that it actually worked, we'd love to hear that.
Actionable.
Yes, actionable.
Here you go. Ready? Ding, ding, ding. Get out your notebooks.
Ready. Okay.
All right. So you want to find out who is the social media person responsible at any given company in your space.
Nice.
And you want to be very good friends with them. So you want to share their stuff. You want to be somebody who they like a lot. And by doing so, they're going to respect you and, so on and so forth. So when the time comes, it's politics. When the time comes to ask for a favor, they're more likely to help you out. So
nice.
Find out and that's easy to do, because if you literally Google like social media, real estate, you're going to find the real estate social media guys. If you are doing, you're in the car business writing about cars, social media Ford, social media Honda, you'll find those guys, get to know them, get to, do favors for them, go out of your way to help them out and promote their stuff, and make sure that they remember that you did that.
How do you ask? Because I've gotten Twitter direct messages or emails or whatever, people asking. How do you specifically ask for a share, especially if you've known them just on social media? I know some people are sort of worried about asking and all that fun stuff.
What's the worst that could happen? I mean, the worst that could happen is they say no. I mean, I ask, it's very frustrating, I'll be honest, because, I try to forge relationships with companies that are ancillary to our space that would benefit highly by working with us. And I can't get people to return my phone calls. I can't get people to respond to my emails. I mean, and you want to take the phone and throw it out the window. But I've I still take it personal a little bit because I'm that guy who answers all my emails. I still, I get hundreds of emails a day, and they're not all hundreds of emails that I have to respond to because it's a lot of junk in there. But I probably write personal messages to 50, 100 people a day who reach out to me, and that's it's a lot of work. But I think especially when you're a business person and you've got somebody who's in an ancillary business, it's your job to kind of create a relationship and at least get to know who they are. So I think by ignoring folks, I don't know, I think you're doing a disservice to your company and to what you're getting paid for. But anyway, quick tip is reach out. Don't be afraid. Write an email and just be like, hey, John, I hope all's well. I know I don't love to ask for favors, but we wrote this great piece of content that I think your folks would love. Would you mind just sharing it on Facebook, tweet it, whatever. And oftentimes I get a lot of, oh yeah, I'll share it everywhere, and they never do. That's the worst. Now those, I think that's kind of the biggest middle finger, right? That you can get is yeah, I never do. That's the, all right, I'm never going to do you another favor because you kind of, you lied to me. And it's going to happen. It will happen if you ask people, but just let it slide off your shoulders. Don't worry about it. It's part of the game. I
really appreciate how honest you are with this, because a lot of the times you'll see people talk about, oh, well, just send them an email, just do this thing. It's a numbers game though too. Like people are going to say no, and that is normal and okay. And thankfully you have a thick skin, and hopefully everybody listening will have a bit more of a thick skin after this.
Oh yeah.
Because not everybody's going to say yes, because they got their own stuff that they're dealing with.
I don't, and I don't know. We've never actually tracked what our success rate is on that. And it's funny because a lot of people in real estate, when they do their marketing, postcards and things like that, I mean, they know down to the percent. We probably should do a better job of tracking, but it's hard because it's just it's another thing to add to your plate. So, we know as long as we just go out there, reach out to folks and it will depend actually also on your relationship. If I've got somebody who I only talk to on Facebook, I'm going to hit them up on Facebook. If it's only somebody who, we tweet back and forth and send DMs, I'll hit them via private message on Twitter. So.
Yeah, it totally matters. And how deep your relationship goes depends on whether or not they're going to do that anyway. So if you only know them on Twitter, it's harder to get, but if
and asking for favors before you know them very well is
big no. Yeah.
It's I don't think it's a no. I mean, I'm somebody who always will go out of their way and make an introduction. What's the worst that could happen? Hey, I'm Josh. Here's my site.
I do introductions, but you don't go, hey, Josh, nice to meet you. I've got this thing. Will you promote it for me? Great.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
No, don't do that. That's bad idea.
I mean, you must get those emails too. I get those emails all the time. Hi, I saw your site on Google and thought that this would be perfect for you. Thanks. I'm glad.
I get them multiple times a day.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, do your homework. And that's another kind of cool, actionable tip is, when you reach out to these guys, do your homework. I'll always go on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and look and find out things about them, and use that in the introduction. Hey, I see that you're a big fan.
No.
Yeah. Wait, what?
I said stalk them a little. That actually works. No, go ahead.
No, I don't do that. I don't do. No, but it's find some commonality, find something that you can relate to them on the level with, and I think that increases your odds.
I agree 1,000%. That connecting thing will actually builds. I say the more you actually do that, this is actually the speech when I met you at FinCon, the more threads we have with someone, the deeper our relationship is. So if we've got a lot of common threads, then we can actually have a deep relationship. So figure that stuff out before you.
But I wasn't paying attention when you were talking. So
you didn't come to my speech anyway. So
no, I didn't. I wasn't even there.
Did you speak? I didn't even go to yours either.
Did you even speak? Woo.
I know, of course you did.
Wow.
Josh is amazing. Of course he did. I just was.
No, we did I did a panel with
Brandon,
Jim Wang and Greg Go and Brandon.
Oh, I should have seen that one.
Scaling your business. Yeah.
I should have seen that one.
It was good. It was good.
I bet it was, and I'm very sorry to have missed it.
I'm sorry I missed you.
Everyone's like, okay, great. Oh my God. So thank you so much. We're going to create all of this into a great action guide so you can step by step through the content and what you can do to promote it afterwards. I really, really appreciate all your information, Josh. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that Millionaire Insider interview. Now, the cool thing is that every single one of these episodes for the next 8 weeks will have an action guide associated with it. So you can actually take action, and you better. So go to eventualmillionaire.com/inside and you can download the workbook right now. You can also see every new insider interview as it comes out. So again, it's eventualmillionaire.com/inside.